What if reincarnated in my own Douluo Dalu fanfic Xuan Yan? What? Where am I? Oh, you woke up. Well, you can think of me as God. So coming to the question, do you want to live or die and reincarnate in another world? A melodious feminine voice ran inside his head. Xuan Yan, what? Why, you are God. He only saw a golden light ball. But you can only have one wish regarding your reincarnation. Sigh asterisk. Xuan Yan, I can have only one wish. Yeah, only one, but you can't ask for more wishes as your only wish. Oh, and also don't act like a smartass and say, I will write my wishes in the paper and consider that as my only wish. Xuan Yan, the rules are good, but you choose the wrong opponent for the wish. Chapter 9, First Spirit Ring Part 2. The three of them ventured deeper into the Stardew Forest. The forest was teeming with life, from the rustle of leaves to the occasional distant roar of a spirit beast. As they walked, Juliana glanced at Xuan Yan. Little brother, what kind of spirit beast do you want? Do you have any preference? With a nod, Xuan Yan replied, an attack-type spirit beast, and the age should be more than 2,000 years. Bibai Dong and Juliana were startled to hear this. Letting out a soft sigh, Juliana began to explain again. Little brother, spirit beasts are categorized by their age and type. The older the beast, the stronger its spirit ring, but also the harder it is to absorb. Typically, for someone obtaining their first spirit ring, a 10-year or 100-year beast is more appropriate. Xuan Yan gave a nod. What about 1,000-year spirit beasts? Juliana chuckled lightly. 1,000-year spirit beasts are for experienced spirit masters. They are far too powerful for someone obtaining their first ring. Even attempting to absorb one could be fatal. Bibai Dong, walking slightly ahead, turned her head slightly to interject. She is correct, Yanner. Your body and soul power are not yet strong enough to handle the energy of a 1,000-year spirit ring. You must start with something suitable for your level. Recklessness will only lead to your destruction. Xuan Yan frowned slightly. But isn't it possible? If the person is strong enough in will and body, can't they absorb a higher age ring? Bibai Dong sighed, her gaze softening as she stopped walking and turned to face him. Possible, yes, but not advisable. Many geniuses before you thought the same and perished in the attempt. You are talented, Yanner, but talent must be tempered with wisdom. Juliana nodded in agreement, her expression turning serious. Your first spirit ring sets the foundation for your journey as a spirit master. It is not just about power. It is about compatibility and stability. A poorly chosen or forcibly absorbed ring can lead to backlash, even crippling your cultivation permanently. However, Xuan Yan's resolve didn't waver as he tried to convince them. I understand, teacher, sister, but if the opportunity arises, I want to push my limits. I won't grow stronger by playing it safe. Bibai Dong's lips pressed into a thin line as she looked at him. His confidence reminded her of herself at his age, unrelenting and ambitious. She could sense his potential, but it also worried her. Finally, she sighed and nodded. We will see, but you must listen to me if I decide it is too dangerous. Of course, teacher, Xuan Yan replied, a faint smile appearing on his lips. Juliana reached out and ruffled his hair. Why are you so confident that you can absorb a 1,000-year-old spirit ring? Has becoming a genius gone to your head? Xuan Yan shook his head. No, senior sister, I really believe I can absorb a 1,000-year-old spirit ring. I have good physical strength. Bibai Dong was curious because Xuan Yan was so confident about obtaining a 1,000-year-old spirit ring, and she turned to him. Yanner. Crouching down, she gently reached out and grabbed his wrist, letting her spirit energy enter him. Her eyebrows arched up in surprise. You really do have great bone and muscle strength. Her eyes squinted in concern. You might actually be able to absorb a 1,000-year-old ring. What? Juliana was surprised and glanced at the cute little guy. Little brother. Suddenly, a blur of white leaped out from the dense brush. A majestic blue-eyed phantom tiger lunged toward Xuan Yan, its icy gaze locked onto him. Its massive body shot like a blur of white fur as it launched toward them, growling fiercely. Before Xuan Yan could react, a suffocating pressure filled the area. Thud! The tiger froze mid-leap, crashing heavily to the ground as Bibai Dong released her overwhelming aura. At this time, Gui Mei and Yue Quan landed on the forest floor beside them with a bow. "Let me kill the beast, Your Majesty." As Yue Quan extended his hand to kill the beast, Xuan Yan intervened. "Wait a minute, Elder Quan." The four of them turned to him, and Xuan Yan walked to the tiger, which was pressed to the ground by Bibai Dong's aura. "Teacher, I want this beast's spirit ring." "Huh?" Bibai Dong shook her head in disapproval. "Yanner, this is a 4,500-year-old blue-eyed phantom tiger. Are you seriously considering absorbing its spirit ring?" Xuan Yan turned to her. "Yes, teacher. It is a strong attack-type beast, and I believe I can endure the process." Bibai Dong's eyes narrowed. "This is no laughing matter. A spirit beast of this age is far beyond what your body can handle. Even attempting this could cost you your life." Juliana chimed in, her voice laced with concern. "Little brother, listen to teacher. A 1,000-year beast for a first ring is already a gamble, but this is madness." Xuan Yan met their gazes. "I understand your concerns, but I am confident in my ability. And if something does go wrong, teacher, you will be here to intervene." Yue Quan and Gui Mei exchanged glances, confused by Xuan Yan's antics. Bibai Dong sighed in her heart. "I do not know if he is being arrogant because of his talent or truly confident in his abilities. Once he tastes defeat, he will give up." With a nod, she replied, "Fine. If anything happens, I will intervene." Releasing his martial spirit, Xuan Yan summoned Yi. The void rippled as the sword emerged, radiating a presence so overwhelming that the air around them seemed to distort. Juliana and even Ghost Douluo were momentarily stunned by the sheer majesty of the weapon. Juliana's gaze trembled in astonishment. This is little brother's martial spirit. With a single, clean slash, Xuan Yan ended the blue-eyed phantom tiger's life. The beast collapsed, and a vibrant purple ring emerged, glowing with power. Taking a soft breath, Xuan Yan retracted his martial spirit and sat cross-legged as he began absorbing the spirit ring. Bibai Dong stood nearby, her aura primed to act at the slightest sign of distress. Minutes passed, and the tension in the air grew thick. Then, with a sudden surge of energy, the purple spirit ring slowly moved around Xuan Yan, and a few seconds later, it settled perfectly around him. As he opened his eyes, a flicker of red energy passed through them, and he turned to look at Bibai Dong, who had a surprised expression on her face. The voice of the system echoed in his mind, "Spirit ring absorption complete. Congratulations, host." Everyone stared at him in stunned silence. You absorbed a 4,500-year spirit ring on your first try," Juliana whispered, her voice filled with disbelief. Bibai Dong hurriedly crouched beside him, her gaze scanning his face and body for any signs of discomfort. "Yanner, do you feel any pain in your body? Can you feel the spirit energy flowing in your body? How is it?" Xuan Yan showed a reassuring smile. "I am all right, teacher." A soft sigh escaped her lips as she affectionately ruffled his hair. "Congratulations on becoming a spirit master, Yanner." "MHM." Bibai Dong stood up with a thoughtful expression on her face. "My disciple is really extraordinary. He will really surpass me, and it seems like he will achieve my dream. Since he has level 20 innate soul power, he can even get his second spirit ring now." While Bibai Dong was lost in thought, Juliana approached Xuan Yan with a bright smile on her face. She placed a hand on her hip, her amber eyes sparkling with admiration and disbelief. You really surprised me, little brother. You broke the theories that we have followed for centuries. No one has ever absorbed a 4,500-year ring for their first spirit ring, yet here you are, perfectly fine. Dong gave a faint nod. His martial spirit is powerful, the strongest tool spirit on the mainland, even better than the clear sky hammer. So, it is good to have a powerful spirit ring and a solid foundation. Liena blinked her eyes. Stronger than the clear sky hammer, which is considered the best tool spirit. Looking at him, Dong asked, Yanner, do you want to get your second spirit ring today? Liena, Yue Quan, and Gui Mei were taken aback to hear this, and Liena spoke up. Teacher, even with a 4,500-year-old spirit ring, his level could only have reached 15 or 16. So how could he? Dong shook her head. No, Yanner has level 20 innate soul power. Chapter 10, Second Spirit Ring. Liena, Yue Quan, and Gui Mei were shocked to the core upon hearing this, as they never knew people could also be born with level 20 innate soul power. Looking at their faces, Dong understood their reactions because no one had gotten level 20 innate soul power except for Kaiyan Renksu. And these elders do not know about Kaiyan Renksu's talent, as Kaiyan Dalu is keeping it a secret. Her gaze squinted in thought. That old man was bragging about how his granddaughter was the most prodigious talent this world has ever seen and was born to inherit the angel god seat. But here is a little guy who has talent even greater than hers, and he is my disciple. While they were lost in their own thoughts, Xuan Yan focused on his system and looked at the rewards. The system chimed, Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing the first mission perfectly. Received rewards, 300 points and 3 spirit ring replicas. The spirit ring replica doubles the age of a spirit ring when used. What do you say, Yanner? Do you want to get the second ring today? Xuan Yan glanced back at her and nodded his head. Yes, teacher. Since I am perfectly fine, I think I can absorb another ring. Liena snapped out of her shock and reached out, patting his head in concern. Yanner, we all understand that you are a prodigy, but do not push yourself. We can take things slowly. Xuan Yan showed his non-existent biceps and reassured her. Don't worry, senior sister. I am strong. Ha ha ha. Liena couldn't help but giggle seeing his cute antics. Dong turned her gaze to Yue Quan and Gui Mei. Nodding their heads, they again shot up into the air. The group ventured deeper into the Stardew Forest, and after walking for a considerable time, Dong raised a hand, signaling for them to stop. We will rest here for a while. They chose a spot beneath a massive tree. Its sprawling branches provided ample shade, and the soft grass beneath them made for a comfortable resting place. Liena spread out a simple cloth from her spatial ring, and the group settled down in its cool shadow. Liena rummaged through her storage ring and pulled out a neatly wrapped bundle of dried meat, a small basket of spirit fruits, and a flask of water. Little brother, she called to Xuan Yan with a smile, handing him a bright, glistening fruit. Here, this is a spirit energy fruit. It is good for restoring stamina and calming the spirit. I saved it just for situations like this. Xuan Yan accepted the fruit and began to eat. Liena had always been like an older sister to those she cared about, and now that Xuan Yan was her junior brother, she couldn't resist the opportunity to tease him a little. Little brother, she said with a sly grin, holding up a piece of dried meat. You've worked so hard today. Shouldn't your senior sister take care of you? Xuan Yan smiled wryly, unsure where she was going with this. Senior sister, I'm fine. I can eat by myself, he replied, reaching for the piece of meat. But Liena pulled her hand back quickly, her grin widening. Ah, not so fast. If you're my little brother, it is my duty to feed you. She leaned forward slightly, holding the meat closer to his mouth, her eyes sparkling with playfulness. Xuan Yan hesitated, a little embarrassed by the situation. "Senior sister, this isn't necessary." "Don't be shy, Yanner," Liana teased, using the same affectionate nickname that Bibai Dong often called him. "Here comes the spirit beast." "Rower," she added, mimicking a playful growl as she waved the food in front of his face. Even Bibai Dong, sitting nearby with her usual composed demeanor, couldn't suppress a small chuckle at Liana's antics. She did not intervene. Instead, she watched the interaction with mild amusement. Finally, under the combined pressure of Liana's persistence and Bibai Dong's subtle amusement, Xuan Yan relented. He leaned forward and took a small bite, his cheeks still slightly flushed. "There you go," Liana said, clapping her hands together as if she had accomplished something big. "See, that wasn't so bad, was it?" Xuan Yan sighed, shaking his head but smiling despite himself. "You're really something, senior sister." Liana smirked, sitting back with a satisfied look. "Of course I am." Bibai Dong finally spoke. "Nana, don't tease him too much. We need him focused on the task ahead." "Yes, yes, teacher." The trio resumed their meal, but Liana did not stop there. She occasionally offered Xuan Yan a piece of fruit or a sip from the flask of water, insisting on acting like the doting senior sister. As they were eating, Xuan Yan noticed a small man-faced spider running on the edges of the forest, and that reminded him of Tang San. That Tang San must be cooking food for his lovely father right now. That was right. Xuan Yan was 1 year older than him, so as of now, Tang San still had not awakened his martial spirits, and Zio Wu was still inside the forest. After eating the meal, they continued their journey into the deeper part of the forest, where many 1,000 to 10,000-year-old spirit beasts reside. Boom! Suddenly, a thunderous noise broke the silence, reverberating through the air like a storm had erupted. Xuan Yan's eyes immediately caught sight of the source. A massive red-furred ape and a black wolf were fighting in a nearby clearing. "Grrrgh!" The red ape roared ferociously, its eyes blazing with fury as its enormous fists pounded the ground, shaking the earth with every blow. Opposite it, the black wolf moved with quick speed, its muscular body rippling with power as it circled the ape, its golden eyes glowing with predatory intent. Thom! The ape charged, swinging its massive fist, but the wolf leaped aside at the last moment, and the ground where it had been standing exploded into a shower of dirt and rock. The wolf lunged at the ape's exposed side, its sharp fangs glinting in the light as it clamped down on the ape's arm. Gwrgh! The ape bellowed in rage, shaking its arm violently to throw the wolf off. The wolf landed on its feet, but the ape was relentless as it jumped forward, its long arms sweeping in a wide arc. The wolf dodged one blow but was caught by the second, and it was blasted away across the ground. Blood dripped from the wolf's mouth as it glared at the ape, growling. The ape charged again, and this time it brought both fists down in a powerful overhead smash. The wolf waited until the last second before darting to the side. The ground shattered beneath the ape's fists, creating a small crater, but before it could recover, the wolf attacked. It darted behind the ape, leaped onto its back, and sank its teeth into the vulnerable nape of the ape's neck. Grrgh! The ape howled in pain, thrashing wildly to dislodge the wolf, but the wolf did not let go. It tore into the ape's flesh, its sharp claws raking deep gashes across the ape's back. Blood sprayed into the air as the ape's movements grew sluggish. Grrgh! The ape, now heavily wounded and breathing raggedly, stumbled forward and the wolf lunged at the ape's throat. Crunch! The wolf's fangs tore through flesh and bone. Grrgh! The ape let out a strangled cry before collapsing to the ground. Xuan Yan stood there watching the fight in awe, and Bibai Dong, who was standing beside him, also noticed his childlike excitement and giggled in her mind. He is cute. Turning his head to Bibai Dong, Xuan Yan asked, "Teacher, what is that wolf's age?" With a nod, Bibai Dong replied, "Duskwaith wolf. The age should be around 9,500. Hearing this, Xuan Yan smiled and pointed at the wounded wolf. "Teacher, then I want its spirit ring." Bibai Dong's eyes narrowed as she again glanced at the wolf. That would be a good ring for him, and since he already absorbed a 4,500-year-old for his first ring, then a 9,500 for his second ring should be doable. Liana showed a thumbs up. "Good luck, little brother." Bibai Dong raised her gaze and muttered, "Quan." "Yes, your majesty." In the blink of an eye, Yue Quan leaped into action as he approached the wolf and released his martial spirit. Blossom of 1,000 flowers. Small, razor-sharp golden petals materialized and swirled like a storm around them. The sharp petals shot forward, piercing the wolf's tough hide. Grrghhh, the beast howled in pain, its deep, guttural roar echoing through the forest. Blood sprayed across the grass and the black wolf staggered. Seeing this, Xuan Yan took his opportunity. He dashed toward the wolf and jumped into the air, his small body silhouetted against the sunlight. As he extended his hand, a void materialized. Gripping the sword, he pulled it out. His first purple spirit ring materialized around him, and the sword of rupture, began to spin slowly. Phantom Slash. Chapter 11, A Girl's Cry. The system updated his status. Mission: get your second spirit ring. Age limit: more than 5,000 years. Rewards: 300 points, 10 low-grade soul fruits, 5 low-grade spirit ring fruits, and 2 spirit ring replicas. Phantom Slash. Muttering under his breath, Xuan Yan clutched the sword of rupture as he raised it above his head and unleashed a devastating slash. A slash made of crimson energy materialized and hurled toward the wolf. The black wolf, already battered and bloodied, tried to evade, but the energy slash moved faster. The attack struck the beast, cutting cleanly through its massive body as blood splurted into the air. Xuan Yan lowered his blade, the humming softly as it dissolved into the void, disappearing from his grasp. Liana was surprised. That was little brother's first spirit skill. Bibai Dong's gaze narrowed. Since the martial spirit itself is powerful, along with a powerful spirit ring, it is quite devastating. Bibai Dong approached, her expression calm yet tinged with pride. "Yanner, the spirit ring is yours. Begin the absorption now. Stabilizing the power will be crucial." Xuan Yan nodded, dropping into a cross-legged position in front of the wolf's lifeless body. Closing his eyes, he took a steadying breath. The wolf's body began to emit a deep purple glow as its spirit ring emerged, a perfect circle of energy, pulsating like a heartbeat. The ring floated above its remains, then slowly drifted toward Xuan Yan. As the ring descended, Xuan Yan focused, and his consciousness reached out to merge with the energy. The moment the ring touched him, a surge of power shot through his body, and his breathing hitched as his muscles tensed. The spirit energy was wild, resisting his control. Xuan Yan expected this. As the age increases, the will of the dead spirit beast resists becoming a spirit ring. "Focus, Yanner," Bibai Dong muttered, standing guard nearby. Her eyes never left him, monitoring every fluctuation in his energy and getting ready to interfere if needed. Xuan Yan's hands trembled slightly as he channeled the energy into his core. The first minutes were quite hard, as his body felt as though it might break under the strain. Gradually, the chaotic energy began to stabilize, and the wild, thrashing power became calmer, flowing through him in steady waves. Liana crouched nearby, watching with concern. "Do you think he will manage, teacher?" Bibai Dong gave a faint nod. "He will. He has the resolve and talent to overcome this. Slowly, the purple spirit ring began to shrink, its energy fusing completely into Xuan Yan. A faint glow surrounded his body, his aura growing sharper, more refined. Finally, Xuan Yan opened his eyes, and a red glint passed through them. Huff! Dong crouched beside him and asked in worry, "Yanner, how is it? Do you feel any abnormalities?" With a shake of his head, Xuan Yan replied, "No, it's okay." Xuan Yan stood up and clenched his fist, feeling the energy running through his body. Already at level 25. Good improvement. Looking at him, Dong spoke. "Since our job here is done, let's leave. We can rest on our way back." The carriage swayed gently as it moved along the forest path, and inside, Xuan Yan was fast asleep, his head tilted slightly to one side, his face bathed in the soft light filtering through the window. Seated next to him, Liena rested her chin on her palm, gazing at him with an amused smile. Unable to resist, she leaned closer and gently poked his cheek. Soft. She poked again, this time pressing a little longer before pulling away. Who would have thought you could look this cute while sleeping too? She reached out to smooth a strand of hair from his forehead, and on a whim, pinched his cheek lightly. Xuan Yan stirred slightly, as though he could feel the teasing even in his sleep. Seeing this, Liena quickly withdrew her hand with a giggle. "Oops, did I wake you?" Across from them, Dong sat with her arms crossed, observing the scene silently. Her gaze softened ever so slightly as she watched her disciple's antics and shook her head, but a faint smile tugged at the corners of her lips. Nana stopped teasing him. Liena pouted dramatically and sat back. "I couldn't help it. Besides, look how adorable he is." Dong sighed and with a graceful motion, moved to sit beside Xuan Yan. She gently guided his head from the carriage wall and adjusted his position, resting his head on her lap. "Yanner needs his rest," she said softly, brushing her fingers through his hair. Her movements were tender like a mother caring for a child. "He has been through a lot today. Let him have some peace." Liena just smiled and leaned on the carriage window. As the carriage rocked gently, Xuan Yan's expression eased, a soft sigh escaping his lips. His face seemed even more peaceful, cradled in Dong's lap. The warmth of her lap surrounded him while her fingers continued to comb gently through his hair. The dimly lit room was filled with the muffled sound of a child sobbing. The delicate figure of a little girl sat curled up on her mother's lap, her tiny hands clutching her mother's sleeves tightly. Tears streamed down her rosy cheeks as her soft, trembling voice broke the stillness. "Wah, where is Big Brother?" Zhu Yin cried, her voice filled with heartbreak. Her small body trembled with each sob and her big, teary eyes looked up at her mother, pleading for answers. Zhu Ling gazed down at her daughter with a mixture of sadness and helplessness. She gently brushed Zhu Yin's disheveled hair away from her face and used her thumb to wipe away some of the tears staining her cheeks. "Why did he leave me, Mom?" Zhu Ling let out a soft sigh, her heart aching for her young daughter. She placed a comforting hand on Zhu Yin's back and patted her gently. "Yanner didn't leave you because he wanted to, dear. He had to go because he awakened his martial spirit." Zhu Yin blinked through her tears, her little face scrunching up in confusion. "Martial spirit? What is that? Why does it mean Big Brother can't stay with me?" Zhu Ling smiled faintly, trying to explain in terms her daughter could understand. "A martial spirit is a special power that some people in our world are born with. It's what makes people strong and capable of doing amazing things. And your big brother, Yanner, he's very special. He didn't just awaken one martial spirit. He awakened two." Zhu Yin's eyes widened slightly, her tears momentarily forgotten. "Two." Zhu Ling nodded, her expression softening. "Yes, those people from the spirit hall saw how talented your brother is, and they wanted to help him grow stronger. He's training with them now so that one day he can become someone amazing." but the explanation did little to comfort the young girl. Zhu Yin's lip quivered, and fresh tears began to form in her eyes. "No, I don't care about martial spirits or being amazing. I want to be with my big brother," she cried, throwing herself into her mother's embrace and burying her face in her lap. Zhu Ling sighed deeply, stroking her daughter's back as she sobbed. She understood Zhu Yin's pain all too well. Xuan Yan had always been the older sibling who looked out for her, played with her, and protected her from harm. His sudden departure had left a void that her young heart struggled to comprehend. "Yinner," Zhu Ling said softly, "I know you miss him. I miss him too. But this is a good thing for Yanner. He's working hard so he can protect us and make our lives better. Don't you want your big brother to be happy and strong?" The little girl sniffled, her face still buried in her mother's lap. "But why can't he be happy here with us?" Zhu Ling paused, unsure of how to answer such a simple question. She tilted her daughter's face upward gently, looking into her tear-filled eyes. "Sometimes, to grow and achieve great things, people have to leave the ones they love. It's not because they don't care about us. It's because they want to become someone who can take care of us better." "But I don't need him to be strong," Zhu Yin whispered. "I just need him." Zhu Ling's heart ached at her daughter's words, and she pulled her close, wrapping her arms around her tightly. "I know, my little one, I know." For a few moments, the room was filled with the quiet sound of Zhu Yin's sobs, muffled against her mother's shoulder. Then, after a long pause, Zhu Ling spoke again. "Next year," she said softly, "you'll get to awaken your martial spirit too." Zhu Yin pulled back slightly. "I will." "Yes," Zhu Ling said with a small smile. "And if your martial spirit is awakened, you might get the chance to go to Spirit Hall as well. Then you can be with your big brother again." The mention of seeing her brother again seemed to spark a glimmer of hope in Zhu Yin's heart. Her teary eyes brightened slightly, and she clutched her mother's hand tightly. "Really? I can go to Spirit Hall and be with big brother?" Zhu Ling nodded, brushing the last of the tears from her daughter's face. "Yes, but only if you work hard and show them how strong and determined you are. Can you do that, my little Yinner?" Zhu Yin sniffled one last time and nodded firmly. "I can do it, Mom. I'll awaken my martial spirit, and I'll go to Spirit Hall to see big brother." Zhu Ling smiled at her daughter's determination. She hugged her tightly once more, silently praying that both of her children would find happiness and strength in their journeys, even if it meant being apart for now. "Good girl," she whispered, holding her close. "Big brother will be so proud of you." Chapter 12, To Wear. The morning light filtered through the curtains of Xuan Yan's room, casting soft, golden hues over the neatly arranged furniture. Sitting cross-legged on his bed, Xuan Yan stared at a translucent blue screen hovering in midair, something only he could see. His inventory screen displayed his current items: a wooden sword, 2 gold tokens, 3 silver tokens, 5 bronze tokens, 20 low-grade soul fruits, 15 low-grade spirit ring fruits, and 5 locked spirit ring replicas. "System, give me 5 spirit ring fruits," Xuan Yan thought, looking at the screen. In response to his words, the system immediately complied. A soft red light materialized above his hand. When it faded, 5 gleaming fruits rested in his palm. Their vibrant yellow color resembled ripe apples, radiating an alluring glow. Xuan Yan placed 4 of them on the bed beside him and examined the one in his hands. The surface was smooth, and its golden hue seemed to pulse faintly. Taking a bite, he immediately felt an explosion of sweetness fill his senses. "Not bad," he muttered to himself, savoring the fruit. After swallowing the first bite, he closed his eyes, focusing his mind. A soft chime sounded in his head. The system announced that his first spirit ring's age had increased from 4,500 years to 4,600 years. A faint smile tugged at Xuan Yan's lips. "Good," he murmured, before quickly finishing the rest of the fruit. One by one, He consumed the remaining 4 spirit ring fruits, their sweetness invigorating him. As he chewed, a warmth spread through his body, and he felt the subtle yet significant enhancement to his first spirit ring. The system chimed once more. First spirit ring age has reached 5,000 years. Setting the empty stems aside, Xuan Yan straightened and focused on the screen once more. System, use 1 spirit ring replica on my first spirit ring, he instructed. A gentle glow enveloped his body for a brief moment, as if his very essence was being fortified. The system notified him. First spirit ring age has doubled, reaching 10,000 years. His gaze returned to the screen. System, show my second spirit ring status. The system displayed his second spirit ring's current age at 9,500 years. Satisfied, Xuan Yan nodded. Let's balance this out, he said, pulling 5 more spirit ring fruits from his inventory. Their golden glow reflected in his eyes as he quickly ate them one after the other, the sweet taste becoming familiar but no less enjoyable. The system chimed. Second spirit ring age has reached 10,000 years. System, use 1 spirit ring replica on my second spirit ring. This time, a white light enveloped him, swirling briefly before dissipating. The system confirmed. Second spirit ring age has doubled, reaching 20,000 years. Xuan Yan exhaled deeply, his eyes glinting with satisfaction. Now let's check my level. System, give me 10 soul fruits. A moment later, 10 small, blue fruits resembling oversized cherries appeared in his hands. Their crystalline surface sparkled under the sunlight streaming through the window. Wasting no time, Xuan Yan popped the first one into his mouth. As he chewed, the sweetness was accompanied by a soothing coolness that spread through his body. One after another, he devoured the fruits, feeling the subtle rise in his spirit energy with each bite. When the last fruit was gone, Xuan Yan leaned back slightly, closing his eyes as he sensed the changes within him. The system announced, host level has increased from 26 to 27. Opening his eyes, Xuan Yan's lips curled into a satisfied smile. Level 27, he mused. Good, this pace is acceptable. The morning sunlight streamed through the windows, bathing the dining room in a warm, golden glow. Xuan Yan glanced at the enticing aroma of freshly made dishes that filled the air as plates of steamed buns, porridge, and various side dishes were laid out before them. Liena sat across from him, nibbling on a piece of fruit as she occasionally glanced at him. Bibai Dong, ever composed and regal, was seated at the head of the table, gracefully eating her food. Xuan Yan was just about to take a bite of a bun when Bibai Dong spoke. Yanner, I have some good news for you. Xuan Yan paused mid-bite and turned his gaze to his teacher, sensing that whatever she was about to say was important. What is it, teacher? Bibai Dong set her chopsticks down delicately and folded her hands on the table. I have arranged for you to have a seat in the elite class at the Spirit Academy. For a moment, Xuan Yan was silent, and then his eyes widened in surprise. The Spirit Academy? You mean the academy where Sister Nana studies? Bibai Dong nodded. That is correct. Not just any class, but the elite class, the best of the best. You will be in the same class as Nana. Across the table, Liena's lips curled into a grin, and she rested her chin on her hand, looking at Xuan Yan teasingly. Looks like we will be seeing each other more often, little brother. Xuan Yan turned to her and smiled dryly. Same class as you. Liena gave an exaggerated nod. Yes, yes, you will get to see me every day. Bibai Dong smiled tenderly and picked up her chopsticks again. You can start even today, Yanner. I have already made arrangements. If you are ready, Ghost will escort you to the academy and handle the admission process. With a nod, Xuan Yan replied, I can join today. Liena clapped her hands together. Oh, how exciting, she said, leaning forward slightly. I can't wait to introduce you to everyone. Just don't embarrass me, okay? Xuan Yan rolled his eyes playfully. Sister Nana, I think I should be more worried about you embarrassing me. Liena gasped in mock offense and pointed a chopstick at him. Is that how you talk to your elder sister? I will remember this, little brother. Bibai Dong shook her head with a faint smile, watching their banter. Enough, you two, she said gently. Finish your breakfast. Yes. After finishing breakfast, Xuan Yan headed back to his room. He opened his wardrobe, which was filled with neatly arranged outfits, all tailored to perfection. His hand lingered for a moment before selecting a white ensemble, a white shirt, and matching pants with elegant blue linings. The outfit hugged his body perfectly. He adjusted his cuffs, making sure everything was immaculate, and glanced at the mirror. First impressions are always important, he muttered to himself with a small smile. Satisfied with his appearance, Xuan Yan headed out of his room. Liena had already left earlier, heading to the academy ahead of him. Bibai Dong, too, had retreated to the hall, likely to attend to her duties as the supreme pontiff. As Xuan Yan exited the spirit hall, the sunlight warmed his skin, and a cool breeze ruffled his hair. Standing near the carriage was Ghost Douluo, his imposing figure clad in his signature dark robes. Xuan Yan approached him with a smile. Senior. Ghost Douluo's piercing gaze softened slightly, though his voice remained gruff. You can call me Uncle Ghost, little Yan. Xuan Yan blinked in surprise at the unexpected warmth, but he nodded. Yes, Uncle Ghost. A small nod of approval was all Ghost Douluo gave before gesturing to the carriage. Shall we? MHM. The two entered the luxurious Spirit Hall carriage. As the carriage set off, Xuan Yan took a deep breath, gazing out the window at the bustling streets of the city. The journey was mostly quiet, with Ghost Douluo occasionally glancing at him, as if observing him closely. After a while, the carriage came to a halt at the grand entrance of the Spirit Academy. Two guards stationed at the entrance stiffened at the sight of Ghost Douluo stepping out of the carriage. Elder, they exclaimed in unison, immediately kneeling on the ground to show their respect. Ghost Douluo gave them a curt nod. Guide us to the dean's office. The guard shivered slightly under his gaze and hurriedly nodded. Yes, Elder. Xuan Yan followed closely behind Ghost Douluo as they were led through the sprawling academy grounds. The paths were lined with well-manicured gardens, and the air buzzed with energy as students moved between classes. As they walked, Xuan Yan could feel the weight of countless gazes on him. Many students stopped in their tracks, their eyes drawn to him. The young girls, in particular, stared with stars in their eyes, whispering among themselves about the new boy. Who is he? Despite their curiosity, none of them dared to approach, as the intimidating presence of Ghost Douluo was enough to make even the boldest hesitate. The oppressive aura he emitted made them instinctively back away, leaving a clear path for Xuan Yan and his escort. Soon they arrived at the dean's office. The dean, a middle-aged man with graying hair, immediately stood up upon seeing Ghost Douluo. Elder, the dean greeted, bowing deeply. Ghost Douluo nodded. You know what you need to do. Yes, Elder, I will take care of the young master's needs, the dean replied, his voice filled with respect. The admission procedures were completed swiftly, thanks to the prior arrangements. The dean ensured that Xuan Yan's entry into the elite class was seamless, going over the schedule and the academy's rules. Once everything was finalized, Xuan Yan stood and thanked the dean before excusing himself to head to his class. As Xuan Yan left the office, Ghost Douluo stayed behind, reaching into his robes and pulling out a sealed letter. He handed it to the dean. From Her Holy Highness. The dean accepted the letter with both hands, bowing deeply again. Thank you, Elder. Ghost Douluo disappeared silently, as if melting into the shadows. Once alone, the dean carefully broke the seal and unfolded the letter. His eyes scanned the elegant script, and as he read, a bead of sweat formed on his forehead. The letter was brief but carried immense weight. He is good. You are good. The dean placed the letter down with trembling hands, understanding the implicit warning. He muttered to himself, I must ensure everything is perfect for the young master. Chapter 13, Spirit Academy. Meanwhile, among the crowd, a small girl looked at Xuan Yan with her curious blue eyes. Isn't he? Sigh quickly recognized him, as he was the one who had come to talk to her during the martial spirit ceremony. Xuan Yan. Her gaze followed him as he walked to the dean's office with Ghost Douluo beside him. Sigh instantly recognized Ghost Douluo, as she had seen him beside the Supreme Pontiff once. So, he was taken in by the spirit hall after all. That day, she had suddenly fainted, and later rumors spread that Xuan Yan's martial spirit was so powerful that everyone fainted on the spot. Her gaze lowered. I wonder if he still remembers me. Probably not. With a sigh, she shook her head and walked back to her class. As Xuan Yan strolled through the grand halls of Spirit Academy, he couldn't help but admire its architectural style. Every building he passed seemed like a work of art, adorned with intricate carvings and elegant designs. With his enhanced senses, Xuan Yan could perceive the layout of the academy in incredible detail. His eyes scanned the vast grounds, and he noticed that Spirit Academy truly lived up to its name. Its facilities included simulated ecological cultivation environments, tailored to accommodate nearly every type of spirit master. The elite class, he knew, was the crowning jewel of the academy. Composed of only a dozen students, it represented the best of the best. As Xuan Yan walked through the halls, his presence did not go unnoticed. Groups of students whispered and pointed, their gazes filled with curiosity. The sound of hurried footsteps broke the hum of whispers as a group of girls approached him, their eyes sparkling with interest. "Hello, are you new here?" one of them asked. Another chimed in, "Your clothes look so noble." Xuan Yan offered them a polite smile and spoke a few words, exchanging pleasantries. But the crowd only grew, and their enthusiasm started to overwhelm him. After a few moments, he found a perfect excuse to politely excuse himself from the situation, leaving the giggling group behind. As he rounded a corner, Xuan Yan's eyes caught sight of a girl standing near the corridor. She appeared to be around 14 years old, with dark brown hair tied neatly and warm brown eyes that sparkled with intelligence. A smile appeared on his lips as he walked up behind her, reaching out to tug at the hem of her skirt. In his most adorable voice, he called out, "Big sister." Startled, the girl turned around and her eyes widened in surprise looking at his face. Then, a warm smile spread across her face. "What do you need, little brother? Are you lost?" Xuan Yan nodded his head. "MHM. Yes, big sister, do you know where the elite class is? It's my first day here." The girl was taken aback. "Elite class?" He nodded again, his golden eyes shimmering with innocence. The girl quickly recovered from her shock. Elite class, at such a young age, he must have a strong martial spirit, or maybe full innate soul power. She let out a small sigh and smiled. "All right, little brother, I'll take you to the elite class homeroom teacher." Xuan Yan nodded his head. "Thank you, big sister." A sigh escaped his lips. "I shouldn't act too mature or too childish." As they walked through the expansive grounds, the girl pointed out various landmarks. On the left is the teaching area, where students of all grades attend classes. There is also the simulated training environment and the martial arts field. On the right is the living area, which includes the cafeteria, dormitories, and a few shops. She paused briefly before adding, "There are also arenas where students can challenge each other for sparring matches." Xuan Yan listened attentively, nodding at her explanations. Though he already knew most of what she was saying, he appreciated her effort. After a short walk, they arrived at a 3-story building, and the girl led him to a large classroom on the first floor and knocked on the door. A moment later, the door opened to reveal a woman in her early 30s. She had nut-brown hair tied back neatly and striking black eyes, yet there was a warmth in her demeanor. The girl quickly explained the situation, and the teacher's eyes landed on Xuan Yan. She seemed momentarily taken aback as he responded with a gentle smile, and she couldn't help but return the gesture. "So, you are the new disciple of Her Highness," she said, crouching slightly to meet his eyes. "The dean has already informed me about you. I'm your homeroom teacher. You can call me Teacher May." Xuan Yan bowed slightly and introduced himself with a smile. "Hello, Teacher May. My name is Xuan Yan." The girl beside him gasped audibly, "Her Highness's disciple." Teacher May turned to her with a faint smile. "You should head to your class now. I'll take care of him from here." The girl nodded quickly, but before leaving she glanced back at Xuan Yan with a smile. He returned it with a smile, watching as she disappeared down the hall. Teacher May gestured for Xuan Yan to follow her into the classroom. The moment they stepped inside, all heads turned toward him. Whispers filled the room as the students stared at the newcomer in curiosity and astonishment. Xuan Yan glanced at the students in the elite class. There were only 10 in total. Among them, 4 were girls and the remaining 6 were boys. Most were visibly older than him, some by 3 or 4 years, others perhaps even more. Xuan Yan glanced at Hu Liena and smiled, and in return she winked her eyes playfully. Behind her desk, Xuan Yan spotted 2 young men. One was Hu Liena's older brother, Sigh, and the other was Yan. Teacher May clapped her hands to silence the chatter. "I'd like to introduce a new student joining our elite class. This is Xuan Yan, a first-year freshman. He is also the direct disciple of Her Highness, the Pope. From today onward, he will be studying alongside you all. I expect you to support and guide him as your new classmate." The room fell silent for a moment as her words sank in. Then, as if on cue, whispers erupted among the students. "Her Highness's disciple." Teacher May gestured toward Xuan Yan, inviting him to speak. He took a step forward and looked at the classmates. "Hello, seniors. My name is Xuan Yan. Please take care of me." As the murmurs continued, Xuan Yan's gaze flickered toward Hu Liena. With a slight smile, he made his way to the empty seat beside her. The moment he reached her desk, she grinned and pulled him down to sit before ruffling his hair affectionately. "You are here, little brother." MHM. The rest of the class was not as welcoming. He could feel the sharp sting of envious and resentful gazes from the boys behind him. Sensing the tension, Hu Liena glanced behind her, gesturing toward the 2 boys. "Yanner, let me introduce you. This is my brother Sigh and this is Yan." Xuan Yan turned and smiled at them. "Hello, seniors. It's a pleasure to meet you." Sigh nodded. "Nana told me about you. Haha, nice to meet you, little one." Meanwhile, Yan was staring at him in irritation. "Seems like you and Liena are quite close." Xuan Yan, who already knew about his love for Hu Liena, smiled. "Of course we are." Hearing this, Hu Liena giggled and pinched his cheek affectionately, which only fueled Yan's irritation. This little brat. The morning classes began shortly after, with Teacher May starting a lecture on martial spirits and soul power fundamentals. While the information was important, it was nothing new to Xuan Yan, who had already read the novel. He sat back, spinning a pen between his fingers as he listened half-heartedly, his mind wandering. Occasionally, he glanced around the room, noting the reactions of his new classmates. Many of them stole glances at him in curiosity, envy, and awe. Xuan Yan, however, paid them little attention. As the direct disciple of the Pope and the owner of twin martial spirits, he knew he would gain a lot of attention. Well, many would challenge him for that, but he wouldn't be easily provoked. Actually, I will beat the absolute trash out of whoever challenges me. I have all this power and I'm supposed to sit idle. I also don't like to stay low-key and accept humiliation. I somehow got this second chance, so I have to live it to the fullest, in the way I like. Beside him, Juliana occasionally ruffled his hair or whispered teasing comments, her charm as natural as ever. Her affection only fueled the envious stares from the boys, but Xuan Yan found it amusing rather than irritating. When the morning classes finally ended, Xuan Yan stretched slightly, feeling a sense of relief. Academy life in a world like this is also quite boring, huh? Juliana glanced at him. Come on, Yanner, let's head to the cafeteria. You'll love the food here. At this time, Yan, who was behind them, called out to him, Little brother. Xuan Yan turned to look at him and smiled. Ah, here comes my flame. Chapter 14, A Fight, Part 1. When the morning classes finally ended, Xuan Yan stretched slightly, feeling a sense of relief. Juliana glanced at him, adjusting her robe slightly. Yanner, let's grab something to eat. You must be hungry after all that boring theory, she teased lightly. MHM. At this time, Yan, who was behind them, called out, Little brother. Xuan Yan and Juliana turned to look at Yan, who was standing behind them. Yan spoke in a light tone. Xuan Yan, you are the disciple of Her Highness and the owner of a powerful martial spirit. Quite the reputation for someone so young. I can't help but wonder how much of it is true. Juliana's eyes narrowed as she stepped forward, protecting Xuan Yan. Yan, what are you trying to say? Yan smiled. Relax, Liena. I'm simply curious. As his senior, it's my responsibility to ensure he's up to the standards of our elite class. A friendly spar in the arena should suffice to test his strength. Juliana scoffed, crossing her arms. Friendly? That's rich coming from you. We both know what you're doing, Yan. You're just looking for an excuse to. To do what? Yan interrupted smoothly, his voice dripping with mock innocence. Surely you're not suggesting I'd bully our new junior. That would be beneath me. Juliana's gaze narrowed. Then why now, Yan? Why not wait for an official sparring session in class? You can't fool me with that fake politeness. You're just trying to provoke him because you can't handle the idea of someone younger being better than you. Yan's smile wavered for a fraction of a second, his pride clearly stung. I don't know what you're implying, Liena. I only want to welcome him properly. Juliana was not ready to give up. If this is about proving himself, there's no need. Her Highness chose him as her disciple because she already saw his potential. Yan's jaw tightened, but he forced another smile. Potential isn't the same as ability. I'd like to see what he can actually do. Don't worry, I won't use my full power. After all, he is my junior. Juliana's temper flared again. That's enough, Yan. You're acting like a child. Yanner doesn't need to prove anything to you. If you have a problem, take it up with Her Highness. Xuan Yan gently placed a hand on Juliana's arm, diffusing her anger. Sister Nana, it's all right. If Senior Yan wants to have a spar, I'm happy to oblige. Juliana turned to him. No, Yanner, you don't have to waste time with this guy. However, Xuan Yan leaned forward and she crouched slightly to his height as he whispered, Sister Nana, don't worry about me. You forgot my rings. Only then did Juliana realize that Xuan Yan was already a spirit grandmaster of level 25. Little brother. Xuan Yan glanced at Yan. Sure, senior, I will take on your challenge. Yan smiled upon hearing this. This will help me guide you in the future, junior, haha. A new mission popped up in Xuan Yan's system. Mission. He looks down on you, the protagonist. Beat this arrogant flame lord and show him who is the boss. Rewards to be determined. Xuan Yan's gaze flickered to the system screen. Being the Pope's disciple, there will surely be many people in the future who will try to challenge me to prove themselves. So having a battle with him here will shut down any future idiots who want to challenge me. I just need to show off a bit. Liena tenderly patted his head. Don't go easy on him, Yanner. He's been too smug for too long. Seeing this, Yan's lips twitched in anger. You dare to act intimate with her in front of me. I need to discipline you, little brat. There. On one side of the arena, Xuan Yan stood ready, and opposite him stood Yan. The sun streamed in from the open roof above, casting long shadows across the battleground. Xuan Yan could feel the anticipation in the air as students and teachers streamed in. Feels like that typical moment where a young master gets slapped. Whispers echoed throughout the arena, words like Pope's disciple swirling around like a rising storm. He's so young, do you think he can actually match up to Yan? I've heard he's the Pope's direct disciple. But he must have just awakened his martial spirit. Is this the usual bullying? But against Yan, isn't Yan one of the strongest in the elite class? From his position, Xuan Yan caught sight of his homeroom teacher, Mei, entering the arena. She moved to stand near the arena's edge. She caught Xuan Yan's gaze and gave him a slight nod. Clearly, she was interested in seeing what her new student could do. Not far from the teacher, Liena had also found a seat. Her golden blonde hair shimmered in the sunlight as she leaned forward, her focus entirely on Xuan Yan. She didn't bother hiding her smile, as she had complete faith in him. Yan's voice broke the tension. Ready to give up, little brother? You still have time to save yourself the embarrassment. Xuan Yan replied, keeping his smile. I can say the same to you, senior. It's polite to show humility before the match begins. You might regret your words later. As more spectators filled the arena, the murmurs grew louder, but Teacher Mei's voice cut through the noise. Quiet, everyone. The crowd hushed instantly as she stepped forward. Her eyes flicked between the two competitors. This will be a formal sparring match between Yan and Xuan Yan. The rules are simple, no fatal strikes, and the match ends when one of you yields or is unable to continue. Do I make myself clear? Both nodded in acknowledgement. As Teacher Mei stepped back, Yan grinned and stepped forward. The air around him shimmered, heat waves distorting the air, and his martial spirit flared as a fiery aura blazed around him, taking the shape of a molten, flame-like entity. He summoned the Flame Lord martial spirit. 2 yellow soul rings materialized at his feet, glowing with a soft, warm light. Yan raised his hand, his aura surging again as flames began swirling around him. The first yellow ring at his feet glowed brightly, and flames erupted, rushing forward in a wave of molten fire. The attack tore across the arena floor, sending embers and sparks flying as it headed straight for Xuan Yan. My first soul ring ability, Blazing Surge. As Yan's attack surged forward, the blazing flames ripped across the arena like a tidal wave. The heat from Yan's attack radiated outward, forcing spectators near the edge of the arena to shield their faces. Just as the flames were about to engulf him, Xuan Yan moved. With a swift sidestep, his small body blurred, slipping out of the path of the flame with an elegance that stunned the crowd. The flames roared past him, scorching the ground where he had just stood, but Xuan Yan remained untouched. Xuan Yan looked down at his palm. My transcendent body is flexible, and with my physical strength, it seems like I don't even need to use my martial spirit to finish this one. This brat is quite agile, Yan thought, his eyes narrowing. Before he could respond, Xuan Yan dashed forward, closing the gap within seconds. Yan tried to react, raising his hands defensively, but he was too slow. Xuan Yan's first punch slammed directly into Yan's stomach. The air left Yan's lungs in a painful gasp as he staggered back. Urgh! Before he could regain his footing, Xuan Yan followed up with a precise uppercut to his jaw. Yan's head snapped back as he took 3 clumsy steps back. Xuan Yan clicked his tongue. My height, I'm still shorter than him, otherwise I would have punched him straight in the face.